What's going on, folks? Derick G here reporting for All Factors Considered, and what I want to do today is just run through a few MMA headlines as we prepare for the opening of the 2021 campaign for the UFC season. So obviously we know that this Saturday it's going to be number 1 ranked Max Holloway facing off against number 6 ranked Calvin Kattar fighting at featherweight, 145 pounds, and it's going to be a great matchup to kick off this whole entire year. But before we get into all of that stuff, because we will be covering all of that, me and my co-host AJ as always on Fridays. Like I said, we're just going to run through a couple of headlines and just see what's on track for the 2021 campaign. Now, the first headline that I have here is Joanna Jedrzejczyk. She lays out her ideal scenario for her UFC return. You know, she wants more money, a title shot, and she wants fans to be there. Now, this was reported by Nolan King of MMA Junkie, and we need to give this a little bit of context first and foremost. So, Joanna Jedrzejczyk, historically one of my favorite fighters. How could she not be? She went on such a tear as the UFC was kind of coming into its own prior to the UFC deal and all, or the ESPN deal, and all of that good stuff, right? So Joanna Jedrzejczyk, 16-4-0 in MMA, but 10-4 in the UFC. So of course, she went on a 14-fight win streak prior to facing off against Rose Namajunas in 2017 when things just got a little bit weird. But we need to understand, man, 14 win streak prior to losing to Rose Namajunas, 5 title defenses and wins over Carla Esparza, 2 wins over Claudia Godelia, a win over Jessica Andrade, a win against Tecia Torres and Michelle Waterson. So she is basically taking care and cleaned out all of the main players in the 115-pound division. And if you think about it, she took care of Jessica Andrade, who was making real noise at 115 and now is possibly in line for a title shot at 125. So Joanna Jedrzejczyk had this whole master plan, kind of thought a little bit ahead of herself of, she's going to clean out 115, move up to 125 and be the queen at 125 as well. Now we saw that didn't work because, like I said, Rose Namajunas, their first encounter against Joanna Jedrzejczyk, she lost. First round knockout, man. It was surprising. Everyone was surprised. Nobody saw it coming, and that birthed the star of what Rose Namajunas is. Now, of course, she got an immediate rematch where Rose Namajunas really shined, and she just kind of picked her apart, man. Decision win. It was very strategic, very tactical. Her boxing, her striking was incredible. Now, Joanna Jedrzejczyk kind of had to deal with an ego blow, and, she was the boogie woman, or at least she was before losing to Rose Namajunas, and racked up a win against Tecia Torres, where she then got another title shot back at 125 against Valentina Shevchenko, who we know now. I don't know if there's anybody that could beat Valentina. She loses one round and the whole entire world, goes crazy. When she lost, I think it was like the first or second round to, I believe it was Julia Pena or something like that, right, at 125. So she loses to Valentina Shevchenko and then gets another fight against Michelle the Karate Hottie Waterson, where she gets a dub, man. It was a tough fight for me because I really enjoy both of those fighters, but I think we all knew Joanna was going to come out on top. Now, 2020 occurs. The wild year of 2020 takes place, and Joanna Jedrzejczyk gets, once again, another title shot. And who did she get the title shot against? Well, Weili Zhang, who was the 115-pound champion. She is China's first champion in the UFC, and it was the fight of the year, clearly, right? I think everybody kind of agreed with that, even though we did have a couple of contenders with the Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueiredo at the end of the year, which is kind of more of a recency bias type thing. But regardless, Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jedrzejczyk, fight of 2020, where Weili Zhang did come up victorious, and she won a split decision win, where, arguably, you look at Joanna Jedrzejczyk's resume, you look at everything that goes on there, and she probably should have got a pretty immediate, rematch. But she did have this huge hematoma on top of her head, and I think she had to go, I think she went back home. I think she went and rested up, got her mind right, and then got back into the fight spirit because, once again, in 2020, it's the year of no fans, and Joanna Jedrzejczyk, along with many other fighters, and most notably like a Tony Ferguson, who actually have voiced their displeasure of fighting without fans. They kind of say it's an extra, battery pack. That's at least what Joanna Jedrzejczyk said in this article, that it's like an extra little battery pack having those fans in there. And, the John Anik of the world, commentator for the UFC, he would agree. He would agree that the fans just bring a different element. I think we all agree, but it is what it is, man. And I don't know if, UFC is kind of going to let her wait that out, because as you're seeing now, she wants another title shot, and I do think she deserves it. I do think they should run it back against Weili Zhang, but Dana White's already noted that, Weili Zhang and Rose Namajunas is the fight to make, or Weili Zhang versus Carla Esparza, and in that case, even though Esparza has been on a run, I mean, Joanna took out Esparza way back. I think that's who Joanna actually won the strawweight title from back in like 2015 was Carla Esparza. So it's great to see that Esparza has made her way back and all that good stuff. But I do think Joanna Jedrzejczyk is slightly disrespected in the UFC right now by the UFC brass, kind of like Max Holloway, you know. So we're gonna talk about that on Friday on the next show, man. But this is all stuff to really take into consideration, man. Joanna is due to come back and to make some real deal noise, man. It's not like she's washed up. It's not like she's super old or anything like that, but wanting more money, title shot, fans asking for kind of a lot, you know what I'm saying? And in 2020, or 2021, excuse me, I just don't know if the new age of the UFC is gonna let her wait it out, man. The name of the game has been taking fights on short notice and making it happen and becoming a star overnight because nobody else is willing to take the risks that you're willing to take, you know. So that's that first article, by Nolan King and MMA Junkie. Now the next one is the biggest news. I probably should have hit this first, but everybody is talking about it, so we can just kind of go about it at our own pace. Now, UFC anti-doping policy changes stance on marijuana. Positive tests are no longer a violation. Now this is reported by the great John Morgan of MMA Junkie, head honcho over there, man. And listen, it is about time, man. I am so happy that this is finally taking place because I honestly have felt that for marijuana being legal in so many different states, recreationally and medicinally and all that good stuff in America, it's just super unfair that these fighters are being punished, are losing a lot of money, are losing their spot in the rankings, are losing a lot of different things and facing these suspensions, getting money literally taken out of their pockets because they smoked a little bit of weed. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the times people are using it for recovery, people are using it to get the edge off in terms of stressors and whatnot, but it's just incredible to me how through all major sports it feels like we promote steroids and talk about recovery stuff. You know what I'm saying? We support, painkillers and all these opiates and all these other, crazy drugs that these athletes should be taking to kind of fight through their pain and do stuff like that. But marijuana, and all of a sudden, no, your wins are getting turned out, no contest and things of that nature. So that's why I wanted to talk about just a couple of fighters that have been impacted, kind of severely by this. Now we already know Nick and Nate Diaz. That's easy. That doesn't count, right? Those are kind of the poster boys for, we should be able to smoke weed in the UFC and all that good stuff. But I do want to talk about some, young fighters and some older fighters, people facing suspensions and getting wins overturned. So Jamal Hill's win over Klitson Abreu, it got changed to a no contest. Why? Because it was over some smoking weed or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? It's not like you in the ring high or in the cage high and doing all that stuff. And even if you were, I don't know how much of a competitive advantage it would truly be, but athletes, they are mixed on that. So, we'll let that be what it is. But so Jamal Hill, he had a win changed to a no contest. Kevin Kroom fighting out of Glory MMA. He had his win against Roosevelt Roberts, which was super underdog. Nobody saw that one coming, really. It got changed to a no contest. Trevin Jones, right? So he fought against Timur Valiyev, and I believe Valiyev was a huge betting favorite, man. Like nobody thought that Trevin Jones was gonna go and make some noise. Here's this dude coming in with his blonde hair and all that stuff, man. And it was looking kind of interesting in the first round, but he gets a huge comeback win and it gets changed to a no contest. And it was his UFC debut, so it's like, come on, man. You need that win to be able to progress and move up the rankings and things of that nature. Now, as far as some other ones, man, Luis Pena, he ended up losing the fight where he got popped for weed, so he just got a suspension. Tim Elliott, he got a suspension. It's kind of ridiculous what we're doing to these fighters, old and new. We're wasting their career because if you get a 6-month suspension, if you get a year suspension, I think Nick Diaz, it was like a 4-year, 5-year suspension from the UFC. It's like you're literally wasting their athletic prime to where they can go and make money and they can go and put on great fights for the UFC. So in my opinion, it's kind of like your UFC is inflicting damage upon themselves on top of inflicting damage upon the new fighters. But UFC will most likely just eat that L because what can they do? They got Dana White's Contender Series. They got LFA. They got Cage Warriors. They could bring fighters in, every day if they really wanted to, and I think that's why they're trying to skim down that roster a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But lastly, man, the last article that I have is Dana White. He sees mostly a downside to open scoring in MMA. Now, this was another MMA Junkie article, so we're showing big love to the MMA Junkie, that website today. But so let me read a little bit of the article, man. So, and this is written by the MMA Junkie staff, so there's no one, truly for me to credit here. But, it says, should mixed martial arts employ open scoring? And I really believe so. And the reason why is because the idea of the verdicts of the world, which is something that we promote on this show, where it's open scoring, where everyone can kind of collectively put in what they thought, and all of the extreme outliers, the like 30s 27s when really it should be a 29-28, or the vice versa, whatever the case may be, those all kind of get factored in and factored out in their own way due to just kind of the amount overall of scoring. It's like a median average that gets taken out of there, and generally speaking, you have the right call when you have so many different people factoring in how they saw the fight, as opposed to 3 judges who just make or break it. That is what it is, So Dana White, he says that, there's few moments as dramatic in sports as when the winner or loser, when their arm gets raised, man. And in all honesty, it's true. It's true. I can't deny that. But I don't think that is a supplement, or that should be a proper replacement for getting the right call, right? Just because it was dramatic and somebody we don't agree with got their hand raised doesn't mean that was the right call. And do we need the dramatics if at the end of the day, for like Max Holloway and Alex Volkanovski, for example, a lot of the MMA, pundits of the world, and a lot of even the fans, they felt like Max Holloway won. A lot of MMA fighters themselves felt like Max Holloway won. But who did the judges give it to? Alex Volkanovski, second time in a row, but this time it was closer. It was a split decision. The first one was just a regular decision. So it's things like that we have to take into account, man, just because it's like, if everyone else sees it a different way, how do you judges see it this way? And if these judges are truly boxing judges, or they're, part of wrestling camps and, UFC affiliates and whatnot, it's just things we need to take into account, man, because I really believe that in open scoring, while Invicta, I believe, is the only promotion that actively uses it right now, I just think it's something that needs to be the next progression. If in boxing they have, Teddy's scorecard or whatever the case may be, whoever the person is today in whatever promotion that you're watching, if you have that, man, at least we can always be like, ooh, interesting, man. So far, they got him down 2, so he really gonna have to make something happen. You look up at the, at the scoreboard or whatever the case may be, and you say, hey, like, oh, I thought I won that round, but I'm down. Okay, well, I really got to come out and make some heat happen. Now, the argument is that even in open scoring promotions, a lot of the fighters don't put their foot on the gas when they, see that they're down or whatever. But listen, man, I just think that eventually that's the progression that we have to see here in the world. Now, I do want to talk about a couple. So this is a website called MMADecisions.com, and this website, basically the article that I have up is the top 10 most disputed decisions of 2020. And what's interesting about this is we actually covered on our program on All Factors Considered, we covered a couple of these bouts, and me and AJ, my co-host, we disagreed on who the outcome of the winner was. And it's interesting because one in specific is actually 2 of them. So we got Mckenna versus Hansen. So Kay Hansen faced off against Corey Mckenna, and these were 2, kind of new to the UFC, females, and I thought Hansen did enough to get the dub. Now, they gave the win to Mckenna, and a lot of this is because of the wrestling scoring that we have in place right now, where, you get a takedown, even if you don't do much with it, you still get the round, even if you just hold them down and you're not really being effective with your position, So it's interesting because, so how this works is that they'll have like Mckenna over Hansen. That was the ruling, right? Then they'll have the agreement with the winner, the media, the fans, and the average. So the media, 13% of the media agreed with the winner. 26% of fans agreed with the winner. Now the average is 19%. So if only 19% of people agree with the actual outcome of the fight, that goes to show there's something wrong here. Another great example is Claudia Godelia versus Angela Hill, 2 strawweights, right? Only 24% of the media believed that Godelia actually won. Only 24% of the fans as well. So it was a 24 over across the board. You have less than a quarter of people who are actual MMA pundits or whatever. You have less than a quarter of them who actually agree with the decision of the winner. Now, you tell me, that speaks volumes in and of itself. And now, one last one. You got Thiago Moyces versus Bobby Green. This is a fight where I thought Bobby Green won. So I thought Hill won the last fight. I thought Hansen won the fight before that. And I thought Bobby Green did enough to win this fight. Now, 27% of the media believed that Thiago Moyces did what he needed to do to win. It's only 27. We didn't even clear 30% on any of these, man. So, like I said, man, there's a reason why websites like this, exist, and articles like this exist, is because we're seeing a bunch of nonsense, man. And they got notes on it too. We'll say it's like a home country decision, away country decision, all the little biases that kind of go into these things, man. So that's just some of the headlines that I wanted to talk about to kind of kickstart this 2021 campaign. Please be sure, give us a follow, on Twitter, AFC Fight Talk. All that stuff will be in the show notes below. But most importantly, tune in on Fridays. because on Fridays, that's when our AFC show, our standard show drops where we're doing our sleeper analysis and we're breaking down the main card. So we're breaking down Holloway versus Cater this Friday. Tune in on YouTube. That's it for me, folks. Until next time. Peace.